Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Eric.
Dominic.
We are currently on episode 125, and we have a very special guest today. We have Jeremiah with Athalonz Golf. Athalonz has developed patented sports footwear technology to immediately help golfers improve athletic performance with more driving distance and better accuracy, with a design to add more stability to your swing. If you're not following them on Instagram, make sure to hit that follow button. Their handle is at Athalonz. That's Athalonz. Jeremiah, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Hey guys, thanks so much for having us.
Absolutely, we're excited to learn kind of the history, the backstory behind Athalonz Golf. So if you want to maybe just kind of dive right into it, give us a little bit of a history lesson.
Sure, yeah. We actually started in baseball. The founder Tim, he attended a kind of a camp for adults, right? That was coached by major league coaches. And when he was there, people started finding out that he's a patent attorney. So people start. Anytime you say you're a patent attorney, people just bring all of your ideas. Everybody's got an idea they've been waiting on, right? And it's gonna be the next big thing of something. And some of the coaches that were there started bringing this idea about all the best players that they've coached. Their weight is more on the inside of their body, right? So the weight's more on the inside of the knees. Their knee doesn't really travel outside, creating that compensation of like trying to bring everything back. Everything's kind of like locked and loaded already. And the way pitchers are on that rosin bag kind of gives them that physics advantage. And they were thinking like, hey, is there a way that we can make kind of a peripheral kind of thing, we could attach to shoes? And he was saying, I think we can do better than that. I think we can put it in shoes, right? It's gonna take some R&D to kind of figure that out, but I think we can put it in shoes. And so it took a long time. I mean, you can make an iPhone faster than you can make a new shoe model, So it took about 3 years to really get it perfected. It was a lot of cutting up insoles, at different widths and laminating them together to create the slopes and wear testing the heck out of it. And so, that process took like 3 years. And we finally came across something that actually really worked, right? And we started making baseball shoes. They started becoming popular. We made a softball turf shoe, and more people started buying them for golf than for softball. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We always knew that this technology worked in golf. It worked in tennis. It works in all these rotational sports, pickleball, even boxing. It works great for. And then when people started naturally adapting it, golf first, we're like, yeah, this is obviously where we need to get into. It was really our passion, but we had like really good connections in baseball with even the baseball coaches kind of bringing us this idea.
Sure.
And then so now we're 95% golf. It's like completely done the 180. Yeah.
How long ago was that when you started the baseball patent for the shoe?
Yeah, that was about 8 years ago when we really kind of came on with our first metal cleat. Yeah, it was 8 years ago, and then about 4 years ago or so we came out. It was 2019 when we came out with the golf shoe. Yeah.
Very cool. So was it always, has it been Athalonz 8 years ago as well, or was that a different brand with the baseball shoe?
Yeah, no, it was Athalonz then. Yeah.
Okay.
So the very first kind of marketing company that we got hooked up with, it was kind of expensive, big deal law firm or marketing firm out of New York, right? And
Sure.
that's basically all we got out of them was the name Athalonz. It's kind of a hybrid between athlete, decathlon, kind of like jack of all trades, athletic shoe kind of thing is like what they kind of came up with. Yeah. But it ends up being hard to pronounce and hard to spell and all that fun stuff. So
That's so interesting. Dom, if you want to, we're obviously going to talk about some of the other shoes that you have, but
Well, what was the first shoe that you guys released?
the first shoe was a metal baseball cleat. That was
Okay.
that was the first shoe. Yeah, and then we came out with a turf shoe, and then a molded cleat a little bit after that, and we came out with like a second generation of all three of those. And then that's when we were kind of like at about the same time we started creating the golf shoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have a few golf shoes in your lineup. Which one was the first one to come about?
Yeah, the Envy, so ENVE stands for energy and velocity. That was the first one. The white and tan one was actually the very first one.
Okay.
And that's what all the long drivers started using. Um, and we created the shoe. I don't even think we had long drive in mind, right? But it worked so well that they all started using it. The we had a long driver that kind of worked with us in development of the shoe, and he was a PGA coach here as well, and so he helped with the development of it. And he went down. I think he was injured, so he couldn't go to the event here in the Phoenix area, but he knew a lot of the guys, right?
Yep.
And he was like, hey, maybe try this out. Like he just happened to have one of the contestants' shoe sizes. He's like, hey, give this one a try. Took a few swings. He's like, holy cow, like yeah, this really works. And he's like, I'm not giving this back. So
Keeping them.
and yeah, and that long drive professional was Ryan Steenberg, and he had been doing a long drive for quite a while, several years. He had placed like third, and he'd always do pretty well, but never won an event. And that first event he wore our shoes, he won that event. And yeah, and then the very next event, it was like 3 weeks, a month later, he won that event too. And people are going like, what the heck's up, And
Not in the driver, it's the shoes, right?
yeah, and that's the only equipment
Like
change that
Mike.
he had.
Yeah.
That was the only equipment change that he had. And people started asking like, yeah, what did you change? Like
Sure.
driver equipment's set up, because when they do the in the bag kind of stuff, they never talk
Yeah.
about the shoes being part of equipment, but we view them as equipment.
For
He's
sure.
like, I honestly only changed my shoes. That's it. Right. And so then, Justin James, Kyle Berkshire, like you had to wear our shoes because you had to get that competitive advantage. So that's kind of how we exploded in the long
Yeah.
drive space. Yeah.
It's funny because we were talking earlier,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm pretty sure long drive guys wear these.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Derek's
Yeah.
looking on the website. It's like, I
Right.
don't see anybody long drive. I'm like, I think I've seen long drive
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
or another wearing these.
And with that one you have in your hand, they're starting to wear those ones now too, right? And like the very first World Long Drive event this year was in Huntington Beach a few weeks ago, and in that we had 4 athletes in it wearing our shoes, and we took first, second, third, and fifth.
Wow.
That's about as dominant as you can be, right?
Yeah,
So
for real.
that was really fun to watch. So, and in crazy conditions, it was like they had headwinds and rain, and it was gnarly out there. But yeah, we weren't slipping and we were winning, so it worked out well.
Really cool.
And I was like, I knew there's a long
Yeah,
drive
I
affiliation.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just looking at that, like the athletes, which we can talk about down the road. But yeah, he had
Mhm.
mentioned that, and I was like, I haven't seen anything on the athletes, but it's funny that you mentioned that because
I don't know where I saw that.
probably on Instagram, I
Probably.
assume, yeah.
Probably,
But
yeah.
it's
There's quite a few wearing it, and it's one of those things that they wear because it works, right? So, um, and it's one of those things when you get into it and you start feeling the advantages of it, and you take them off and you wear something else, and the numbers aren't there, and it's like,
yeah,
okay, I need those back. It becomes even more powerful then when you end up losing the advantage. It's
right.
we have a plate that we take to like demo days and that kind of thing, and this plate has engraved in it are slopes, right? So you can just walk up with whatever shoe you're wearing and feel our technology in the shoes. You can feel those slopes working, and you take a couple little swings, mock swings, and get off of it, and then you start feeling yourself sway all over the place. And so it's like when they feel the instability, that's way more powerful than like the stability gain. It's an interesting kind of social experiment there.
Pretty soon they're gonna have like trackmans for golf shoes instead of that for the swing and the, like you said,
Yeah,
what's in the bag. It's the technology of the clubs, right? But
right.
that's not always the case.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really interesting.
interesting. We've had guys like break out the TrackMan. They're like, "Oh, something feels better. Something feels different." Larry Mize did that where we handed him some shoes. We were just at an event here, a Champions Tour event,
Yeah.
and we were with Bernhard, and Larry Mize was kind of like right next to him there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, it sounds interesting. I wouldn't mind trying that." I was like, "Hey, well, I have every size on me, so like, let's just try it out." And he put them on, hit a few balls, and he's like, "Huh?" He's like, looking at his feet, he's like, that really works, you know. And he called his coach over. He's like, "Am I seeing this right?" You know, and they broke out the track band and like, wow, like this actually works. So it's fun to have something that
That's so
gives you that
cool.
instant physics advantage, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, we do have the Mangrove Pro.
Yep.
I if I did say it correctly.
Yeah, yeah,
I gave
Mangrove
Derek a
Pro.
shoe so he didn't feel left out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
So the kind of idea behind that is, you know, it's one of those shoes that you can wear on the course, you can wear it to dinner afterwards. I've technically been wearing the prototype to that every single day since September. And
Really?
yeah, and you can't even tell, you know, that I've beaten the heck out of it. You know, I've done many, many hikes with them. They've been covered in mud, you know, but that waterproofing process on that leather, everything just kind of like falls right off of it. So,
Yeah, my favorite part is actually the traction. Like
oh yeah,
this
yeah,
is, I mean, obviously if you guys are watching the video, you see it. If you don't see it, this is like the most grip I've seen on a golf shoe, I think ever.
yeah.
Yeah, I would
Like
agree.
this
And that
is,
kind of comes from, you know, we work with the long drive guys, you know, to kind of be that extreme example. You know, we build it so they don't slip, right? I was just telling you, we got first, second, third, and fifth, and it was raining, right? And everybody else was slipping, and we weren't. So it's kind of an extreme case, you know, R&D, and that it results in that where you're not slipping. Like I don't care how crazy you get, right? But the thing is, we call that the grip and glide. So it restricts the external rotation of the foot, but allows you to move internally when you want to move. So you're not just like locked in the whole time.
Sure. I know you talked about the NV technology. Can you kind of tell us about that patent and like the benefits for golfers if they're wearing, that shoe?
Yeah. So the patent. I mean, we have 18 utility patents right now, and a couple still pending. Most of that is on the slopes in the shoe. So you have a lateral to medial slope, and then you have a medial to big toe slope, and it's not just a simple wedge, right? There's a bunch of tiny little manipulations in it.
Sure.
So what we do is, you know, that brings all those force vectors on the inside of the legs, and you get about 9% more ground reaction force out of it. And then kind of what happened in baseball is that when all that weight was inside and you're always locked and loaded and it helped increase timing. Well, in golf, that really helps reduce sway by centering all that weight into the center. You know, so you just don't sway out the ball. So you're much more consistent. So we see, you know, the hit dispersion narrow, the distance, you know, gains. I've seen anywhere from like 3 yards to 32 yards. So, you know, it just depends on
Wow.
your biomechanics and how well you can use that energy that travels up through the body, right? Um, so the results vary, but
Yeah, per
everybody
person,
does,
but it's still
everybody
adding
gets
some sort of distance and giving.
some level.
It's
Yeah.
very
and I may
interesting.
make the PGA now.
Yeah, exactly. Here comes
It's not
Q
magic.
school.
It's not magic, but it does work.
So to say, does it come with a guarantee of a 300-yard drive every
Oh
time we tee
man,
up?
we guarantee that you will see an improvement. That's for sure, right? It's a
That's
physics
awesome.
advantage. It works for everybody. It works on every shot. You know, even one of the Corn Ferry Tour guys wore it, and I was like, "Oh, what's your feedback?" You know, he's like, "Oh, they're great." He's like, "I really liked the stability and the weight centering when I was putting. Like, I felt no shifting." I was like, "Oh yeah, it helps there too, right?" But everyone's, you know, they want the sexy long drive numbers and all that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
these guys that are putting for dough, you know, they're like, "Nah, it helps here too." So
Sure.
it's pretty cool to hear that.
Did you have like a target like demographic as far as golfers when you first were launching these golf shoes? Because obviously you're talking about the long drive guys who really kind of took, they're winning. Was there like a certain
Yeah,
specific golfer that you were targeting?
they were the early adopters, right? But you know, we just wanted to help the average golfer, right?
Sure.
There's so many things to think about in the golf swing out there, that we wanted to take care of your foundation first and just gives you one less thing to really think about, you know. So yeah, it was the average golfer for sure. Yeah.
Uh,
I
let-
will say, like, I work in the running industry, so I work with
Oh yeah.
a lot of different brands, and a lot of them
Yeah.
focus, on neutral stability, whatever the gate.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
This is pretty much the most supportive and structured golf shoe I've ever like stood in or walked around in.
Right.
So even though I didn't play, I still like ripped around my front yard a little bit in them.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
Kind of, wanted to get a feel for them.
sure.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
you
very
feel it
stable.
immediately as soon as you put them on. In the house, like you feel it immediately. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to go play in them to feel it. So you get a
Oh no,
bio.
but I still wanted to rip around my yard, be like,
Oh yeah,
haha,
yeah.
look at me. Um, I mean, like we've been talking, like my only real complaint is I wish mine are just like a touch bigger. Um,
Right. Yeah.
that's just my feet though, it
We
is
went
what it
down
is.
that size for you, and yeah, we probably should have stayed true to size. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I love the traction. I love the smell of them, which is weird, like
You know,
The
the
leather?
leather.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm right there with you. That leather is extremely high end, right? That leather is used on $830 shoes and up.
Did you just sniff
Um,
my shoe?
Hey, so you like
yeah,
the leather, so I smelled
good. It
just
smells
smelled the
great.
leather.
It smells great. Yeah.
I didn't smell like inside. I was smelling right here. Yeah.
Even mine that are 6 months old now, like still smell good. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it's a very very high end Italian leather, and then it goes through a 2 month waterproofing process, and it maintains that buttery feel that you just don't feel in other shoes.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more unique golf shoes I've ever seen that is leather. I really like the weird neoprene booty
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
have
yeah.
at the heel and then at the tongue. Um, and then I just like the loose leather at the heel. I think it's such like a
There,
like
there's a lot of
classy but
little
like
subtleties
futuristic
to it.
looking shoe at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So I really wanted to do that kind of detached collar, and this is something you never see, right? But it's a cool touch. It's a manufacturing nightmare, I'll tell you that much. But
I'd imagine.
you kind of have to create two shoes in one almost to kind of pull that
Sure.
off. But I definitely wanted that kind of free floating kind of feel and look to it. So with that kind of raw edge to the leather, really appealed for
Yeah,
me.
and like I was telling Derek, I appreciate that these have a removable insole as well for people who do wear
Yeah,
like orthotics or whatever. And then you even said it on I believe the website, it's like, are the insoles removable? And it said, yes, absolutely.
absolutely.
Um, I think
Yeah,
that's really cool. To me, it's one of the more like I can't think of the word, but like inviting shoes for everybody to wear, where it's like if you have orthotics, cool, we got you. They'll go in here. You have a wider foot, cool. They fit
yeah,
wider.
yeah,
You struggle with
yeah. They,
stability,
they work
cool.
they work really well with orthotics. They actually have a little bit more, toe box height to them too. So if you have a little bit thicker orthotic, then you're totally good to go. And our technology, our patents are built into the midsole of the shoe, right? So you're taking out the insole, it doesn't remove any of the benefits. A lot of people think, oh, it's an insole thing that gives you those gains. And we do have other insoles that have different pitches to them, but that's just kind of fine tuning what's already kind of on in the midsole.
Did you put it on?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it's very comfortable. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask. I love we were talking about the leather, and I think like you said, it's very high end leather, but I do
Mhm.
like the classic look to it with like this popping blue sole. Can you
Yeah,
talk a little bit about the sole and kind of just like the material? Because again,
It's
that
made out of recycled stuff, right? I don't know.
yeah.
some sort
So
of
so it's
stuff.
85% upcycled material, and it comes from. I'm not sure if I can say who they come from, but it's a very high end performance shoe.
Okay.
And we take the trimmings, and grind that up, and then put it into our molds, and then fill it with a resin, and that resin gives it's our way of tuning it, right? So that resin can give it more rebound. So it gives it more bounce, it gives it more durability, and it gives it that cool blue color. But
Yeah, I
we can
like that.
change that color. So
Are we wearing like are these like Gucci? Like, is that what you're saying? Like,
no, it's a performance. Yeah, I don't know if Gucci's really
oh, got it, got it,
Oh,
got it.
performance
high-end
goods.
performance.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So all those little white chunks you see in there, that's what that is. And then the blue is the resin that we add to it. And then we
Okay.
wrap it in kind of a TPU shell, and there you go. So it's kind of a cool little mix between, upscale,
Yeah.
classy, with kind of sport twist, which is kind of where the mangrove name came from. So like the mangrove tree can grow in saltwater environments, and it can thrive in freshwater environments. So it's kind of, that kind of duality of like it works well in both environments. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent pictures of these to a couple people we've had on that I
Mm.
thought would enjoy the look of them. And
Mhm.
they're asking me, like, is that boost? Is it whatever? I'm like, I don't
Mm.
I don't know what it is. It's definitely
Hmm,
something.
maybe, yeah,
Um,
maybe.
Could be, yeah. We could be
Could
a
be,
little bit of everything in there.
could be,
but
yeah,
like feedback from like people who don't know what they are, it's really positive, which
yeah,
is really hard to get in the golf world.
yeah. And even that rubber outsole, we found the best one we could find, right? The one that's going to be nice and really dense, right? So it's long lasting and it's tacky too, right? So a lot of times you'll get it where it feels slick, and then you get on from dewy grass to concrete and slippery. So we didn't want that. So we also want it to be really resilient. And like I said, I've been wearing mine every single day for at least 6 months, 7 months, and you can't even tell. Like they're not even worn down a bit.
Sure.
I think every golf shoe needs this, like
Yeah.
just this tread. I mean, this is unreal.
If Pat
Um,
needs to come talk to me, golf people. So
Well, I mean, for how many years was a golf shoe with spikes,
yeah,
for the
yeah,
longest time?
forever until
Yeah.
very recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
well, and if you
I
talk
kind of
to guys
echo
who
kind of
like
where he started that.
review like basketball shoes, everybody's favorite traction to this day is still the Jordan 1
Yeah.
because the big radial, you can cut, you
Mhm.
can do whatever, and then herringbone is also very popular
Herringbone's still king.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
because
been
it's
around forever.
multi-directional.
Yep.
That's exactly what this is, right? Multi-directional,
Yeah, you can see kind of
multi-directional.
that little pivot point there on the ball of foot, and then it's like a concentric circle of
Mhm.
Mhm.
traction around that. Yeah.
So out of curiosity, sorry, let me take your thunder here real quick, Don, but like
You already took the thunder.
Tim, is a patent lawyer. Did he have any like, I mean, because you guys have obviously had a well thought, this shoe itself's got a lot of thought into it, and a lot of
Exactly. Yeah.
uh trial and error and all
You
that.
can see the effort.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
did he have like any expertise in that, coming up with this? Because again, it's all kind of, you came up with this shoe not only to like look nice, but it was to enhance and improve golfers, their
Yeah.
their game.
I always say it's kind of easy to make a good looking shoe, right? The template's
Mhm.
out there. It's pretty simple, right?
Yep.
And but we really wanted to create a function first shoe, and then craft around it to make it look aesthetically pleasing at the same
Yep.
time, which is a much harder kind of endeavor, right? So
I'd imagine. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, we didn't have any expertise in that. I was always a sneakerhead. I trained athletes before doing this, so I kind of had the biomechanics side down on that. He's a physicist, patent attorney, mathematical wizard, right? So
Sure.
we also work with podiatrists and other sports scientists, and so we had kind of a great team, um, to really kind of create this. So it was kind of the perfect storm.
That's so
Yeah,
cool. How
yeah.
how long did this shoe take from start to finish to actually get it in,
Oh,
from
geez.
production to
Yeah.
selling it to consumers?
Long time, right?
Really?
So that was something, yeah, because we actually moved manufacturing too. So we were in South Korea, and during the COVID
Yep.
pandemic, we were like everybody, it was really hard to get raw materials, So say there's 91 components to that shoe. It's like, well, we got 91 different sources. We got to try and get all these raw materials from, and it's just an absolute nightmare. And then to add a layer to that, they're actually sewn in Vietnam. So it was like, then there was like the logistics of getting it sewn in Vietnam and then assembled in South Korea, and then trying to get a cargo ship, or a container over here. It was a nightmare. And we're America first kind of people, and we were like, we really want to move this stateside, right? And there's nowhere to get it done. There's just not. If we want to make cowboy boots, we could do that tomorrow, but
Sure.
there's
Yeah.
nowhere to get an athletic shoe made here. So we had to partner up with a couple companies, and it ended up being fantastic partners. And now they're made in the USA. So it took a long time. It took 2.5 years or so to really get that to
When you
where
say
it is now.
91,
We should make golf cowboy
I was
boots.
I was gonna say that. She was like, there we
Oh
go,
yeah, yeah.
cowboy golf boots.
Get like
There
There's
you
Adidas
go.
definitely,
in.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, golf's growing so
There's
crazy
got to be
right
a
now
market
that,
for that, right?
yeah,
I like
absolutely.
it. I like it.
It fascinates me that you talk about like there's like 91 different components in this, but when you look at a shoe, you think like there's leather, there's some, like there really isn't a lot of components. So
Yeah.
that is,
Funny because when I'm having a bad day at work, I'm selling mesh, foam, and rubber. That's all I'm doing today.
yeah,
Mesh, foam, and
Right,
rubber.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but
Yeah,
it
it is.
is. it's fascinating that all that
Sure.
it comes together in one shoe, and you don't think about
Little things.
the little things in like the manufacturing side. We've had numerous apparel companies, shoe
Yeah.
companies,
Yeah.
and same thing, manufacturing side is always obviously really expensive. Sampling is very expensive. Sometimes you
Yeah.
get a big bulk order of a certain product that you really like, and then you try to place another order, and it's the material might be a little bit different, and so there's
Yeah.
quality. But
I will say this is the one I am probably most impressed with.
No,
Getting
thank
them,
you.
like, obviously reading them online, I'm like, okay,
mm,
they're probably pretty nice, right? Like,
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
sneakers, you're into sneakers. You and I both know how inflated the sneaker market can be. So when I saw the price, I was like, yeah, they better be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. We have horrific margins. So yeah,
yeah,
they're not inflated at all. I mean, those suckers they should be 450, honestly, right?
sure,
But yeah, and made in America, right? I mean, just labor alone is 5x what it used to be in South
yeah,
Korea. So, a lot of that factors into that. But I mean, the materials that's made out of is more expensive than most shoes are to manufacture, right? So,
really.
yeah,
It makes me feel bad because I walked in wearing a $150 pair of shoes. And I can guarantee you they're like probably a quarter
Yeah,
as nice as these. And
yeah,
like I hate it because like I love those shoes. I'm not gonna say the name because they're a company that I work with a lot. But
sure, yeah,
like
price wise,
but like when you compare it to something like this, the
yeah.
leather's great, the rubber, honestly, I feel like I could probably like run through the snow in these and
Oh,
be
you
okay.
can. Yeah, I've done hikes in the snow. Yeah, no
yeah.
problem.
Oh, not like we have snow though.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
test it
yeah.
out for you and let you know.
Well, this is in Colorado, so it's pretty
Oh,
serious
yeah,
snow.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, pretty serious.
That makes sense. So, talking about pricing and obviously like golf in
Mhm.
general is not cheap, right? You're talking about the shoe itself, not necessarily like cheap, but it's not like it's crazy.
I
Not a
don't, yeah, like it's not cheap, but I don't think it's out of the realm of like being worth it.
right. So I'm
Right.
just kind of
Right.
curious, like, who, are you selling them direct to consumer, just like through like Instagram, social media, or do you guys like sell to like a Dick's Sporting Goods, like any, or do you plan on going that direction? What's the future for Athalons as far as golf shoes?
Yeah, our older models are sold in Dick's and Golf Galaxy and
Sure.
Golf Town up in Canada and like some great retail partners. But with that shoe, when I was saying that we have horrible margins, I wasn't lying. So
Okay.
there's no room for retailers with that
Can't
one.
really. Gotcha.
We're
Okay. Which,
direct to consumer right now, and then all the typical marketing chains, right?
yeah. I mean,
Channels.
social media is such a powerful tool right now too. I feel like it's almost more beneficial for companies, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough though with kind of the education that kind of we need to lead with, right? Because we're
Yeah.
not just another kind of Me Too shoe on the shelf. Like we
Mhm.
actually we're very different. So it's tough to tell that story on social media. It's like people just don't have the attention span to be taught anything, right? So
Oh,
there's a bit of a
we're
challenge with
aware.
that.
Yeah. No,
And
that
as
makes
you can attest to, they actually look better in person too. So like the pictures don't even really do it justice.
They do in pictures and even maybe on the video, this blue is like crazy. In
Yeah,
person, it's like a very nice
right.
contrast. It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Like
It
in
looks
pictures,
radioactive in pictures, right?
this blue is like
yeah.
a vibrant blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful look. I
Yeah, that
I
was a
really do
happy
like it.
accident too. That wasn't supposed to be blue, and then we got a sample that was that, and I'm like, oh, I really like this. So
We got
it was
something.
a happy accident. Yeah.
Kind of goes to like what you said earlier. Like you wanted to focus on the technology and actually be beneficial, and then we'll worry about the actual look of it
Look
kind of
later.
after the
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
very cool. Um, as far as like social media and all that, are you doing like going to different like golf events to try to like actually get people in the shoes rather than just on social media? Because like you said, sometimes it's hard to really get golfers familiar with the product just through social media.
Do you want
Yeah,
to come to Minnesota?
Yeah, we're
I
gonna have an event
would,
here in Minnesota
yeah.
in July.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
now it's thawed out, right? I'll come
Yeah.
up there, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to do a lot around the country, and then, you know, pre-pandemic, right? And then
Yeah.
we're starting to open that up a little bit. We're doing a lot of it here locally, right? We're in the Phoenix, Scottsdale kind of area, and I think there's 180 golf courses just in the Phoenix metro area, 300 in the state. So there's a lot to kind of get to just in our backyard. So we're kind of doing that, and then the Palm Springs, Southern California kind of area too.
Sure.
But we're branching out now. So yeah, we want everybody to get that
You're in
biofeedback
a
and go
good
like,
spot for
oh,
promoting golf shoes as far as in a golf
not
state
bad,
or golf area. Yeah, for
not
sure.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so we kind of mentioned it earlier. You have several athletes. Fred Funk is one.
Oh, what a name.
You and he, Kim.
right.
Yeah. So it's both female, male, which is very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Collegiate golfers, professional golfers. Bernard Langer, who's a
yeah. We got
fan
legend,
favorite for a lot of.
yeah.
Yeah. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about the process of how it is to either get somebody on board with the shoes, and do you plan
Sure.
on,
You want to sponsor a podcast, stuff and cover.
Right, right.
yeah,
Yeah,
a couple
with the
amateur golfers? No.
with the Bernhard one, I can
Maybe
speak to that
maybe more
personally.
amateur than me.
I'm the one that actually gave them to him, so I found out
Okay.
his shoe size. They were here at the Schwab Cup, which
Yep.
is local right in Phoenix, and so I literally jumped in front of his golf cart when he was going out to go practice. He's heading to the range, and so I jumped out in front of his cart, almost ran me over. Look kind of annoyed, right? I was like, hey, I found your shoe size. He's like, try these on. This is the last event of the season, so try them on in the off season. My card's in there. Let me know, once you get a chance to try them on, or, what you think. And so about like a month and a half later, he calls me up and he's like, hey, I've been testing these out with, he was with Adidas. He's been testing out with
Uh-huh.
Adidas and, and two other companies. And hit 12 balls in those, 12 balls in those, 12 balls in those, 12 balls in yours. And then I'm just making better contact with your shoes every time. He's like, why is that? I didn't have time to go through the whole spiel and like how they work, right? And so I gave him the spiel, and he's like, yeah, that confirms kind of what I was feeling. And he's a smart guy. He got it real quick, and so he's been with us ever since.
That's
And he
so cool.
statistically got better at 61 when he switched to our shoes. And so who gets better at 61, right? Like,
He's
so
yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah,
He's like
he's
the
like the Tiger Woods of the old guys.
yeah,
but he was, I mean, on the Masters, he's a two.
Yeah,
two time.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
been really good, but obviously, like you said, he's getting better as an older golfer. Like that, normally
right.
it's the other way around, right?
It's usually a steep decline at 60, right? And
Exactly.
he's actually gotten
He's
better.
actually
So,
gaining
yeah,
yardage off the tee.
yeah, gaining yards and that hit dispersion too. He was always very accurate, but he was just
Yeah,
even more pinpoint accurate. So,
sure.
yeah,
That is so cool. So we'd mentioned you have some of the collegiate golfers as well. Is that something that you guys are trying to target? I know going
yeah.
back to the social media side of thing, there's a lot of, I mean, there's a huge demographic in the YouTubers and those kind of things. Are you trying to kind of eventually branch out to get some of the up and coming
It's,
YouTubers and
it's interesting on what like really works for us, right?
yeah,
Some things you would think would do great, and it's just like there's just no ROI. You're like, well, I didn't see that coming, but the YouTube route has worked really well. All the YouTube coaches out there, they have a devoted following. People are actively on there looking to get better, right? Like, how do I
yep,
fix this? How do I do this? And so when they come across a YouTube coach that's wearing our shoes for a reason because they work, and that ends up doing really, really well. So I mean, 20 times better than any social media influencer, right? So
sure.
yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad we found that channel, but yeah, it works really well.
Yeah. Do you have any like models that you guys are going to be releasing in the near future?
Yeah, so like I was saying, we moved everything to the US. Now that we kind of get our feet wet, we're optimizing some stuff in production, even with the shoe you have there. And we're also in development of 3 other styles. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
Okay.
The NV2 is in the works. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Actually have a prototype here. Kind of do a little sneak peek on that
Oh, I
guy.
like that a
oh,
lot.
that
Yeah,
heel is killer.
yeah, it's really cool. And as far as like literally just got this, right? This is a first prototype, and they're usually rough, and they're like barely look like what they're supposed to look like. This one came out kind of decent. The
Pretty good.
final product is going to be way better than this, but this is already looking pretty good, I think. So yeah, super excited
That
about that
what
guy.
what's the name of that one, or what it's going to be called? I didn't hear.
But
Sorry, I'm sorry.
that's the NV2.
NV2. Okay.
So our
And
original
That
shoe was
heel
the
is
NV.
New Balance had the 860 a few years
Mhm.
ago with that big old ultra heel whale tail thing.
Yeah.
My favorite shoe. And then old people
Really?
hated it. So New Balance got rid of. And I was like, ah, you guys ruined everything. I'm a big fan of ultra heels. I am a huge fan of ultra heels. I don't know if that's
Well,
what you
that's
guys
good.
call them, but that's what we call them in the running industry is an ultra heel. So
Yeah, ultra heel. This is probably going to get moved down a couple millimeters, but virtually kind of, what you see is what you're going to
are you gonna
get.
keep the
It's
hole
gonna
in
be,
there for like
yeah,
the
yeah.
pull
So
on?
this is kind of an integrated little
Yeah,
little
I
pull
like
loop.
that.
It's going to be cleaned up, right? This is the rough draft of it.
Looks awesome for a rough draft.
Yeah, we're stoked on where it's at now, and it's just going to get better and better. Some cool kind of Kager's triangle pillows in there, keep you nice and secure. So yeah,
As far
super
as
excited.
weight goes, is it going to be kind of similar weight to this one here that we're showing in the video?
These are a little
Um,
heavy, but I like how planted I feel in them. So I'd give up
yeah,
weight for stability.
Yeah, for
all
sure.
that weight is from that rubber outsole.
The
So
rubber.
it's like
Okay,
Yeah,
that
I
makes
mean
bottom
sense.
loaded,
these are thick little giblets.
Yeah,
those bottom loaded weight. And like I said, there's no air in that sucker, right? And that rubber, so it's really dense. So it ends up
Hmm.
being heavy.
that makes sense.
And so we're working on ways to kind of thin out that webbing and maybe take some weight out. This is already lighter than that one is.
Okay,
Yeah,
because it just off the look of that one, it did. I mean, it did look a
a little
little
bit
like it would be a little
a little
bit
bit less
lighter.
layers to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm
and
seriously, if you take off this outsole, it's just like air. It's like
yeah,
super lightweight. This midsole super light. Everything's pretty light except for that guy.
which again,
But
like you said, it makes
it's super
sense.
durable. Yeah.
Well, I don't mind if the shoe's heavy if it serves
What? Yeah,
a
it serves
purpose,
purpose.
right?
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
agree.
I do feel planted in them when I was ripping around my front yard. I felt like
Yeah.
I could like step on everything. And then when I say I literally like ran around in circles and I had to avoid all the dog poop.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I looked wild because I had my cut off Zubas on because they're too long.
bringing the Zubas back. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
It was a look all right.
it's
Yeah.
interesting the way that we kind of created the gait of the midsole and everything. It doesn't feel heavy when you put it on, right? So in hand, you're like, oh, there's some heft to it. There's a little bit of weight to it. But when you put it on, it feels pretty natural. It feels like you said,
You're
kind
not
of
like when you're wearing, you're
grounded.
not feeling like these things are like lugging around.
No,
No,
they're
they're
not
really
clunky.
comfortable.
They're not clunky at all. Yeah.
Sure. I love the look. Yeah, no, it's very
I
cool. I've
just
been
keep
just
smelling them.
yeah, I know. I've just been holding on to it the
It's
whole
kind of
time.
intoxicating. Yeah, it's a great smell.
We need just a candle.
But
That's your guys' next venture, a candle that looks just like
candle.
this, and then you can put the
Oh
little wick
man,
up top.
that's actually a really cool idea. Yeah, I
You're
like that.
welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do on the podcast. We're in all sorts of royalties right now, right, Dum Dum?
Right?
I
Yeah.
thought I would.
This is like a
It's
what
my
if
job.
podcast. What if you did this? What if you did that? I like it.
Yeah. What are some of your guys' future goals? I know you're talking about releasing that new shoe. You're now in the USA as far as manufacturer side, but what are some of like your future goals in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, really for us, I kind of like the acronym of focus, right? So find one course until success. So I really want to do that. I want to optimize this golf shoe game, as much as we can. And before I even think about going into other, pickleball or tennis or whatever, right? So we're really dedicated into golf, and these that model next three coming out, some cool fun colorways, editions of that one. So yeah, we're really focused on golf right now.
That's a great answer. I usually ask this for every uh, company. If
Mhm.
there's like one piece of advice that you could give to any person or entrepreneur that's looking to start a company, like
Yeah.
what's a piece of advice that you would share with them?
Uh, don't get into it if you want free time. That doesn't happen, right? And with shoes particularly, it's a high barrier to entry, right? It's a super expensive to make molds and all that kind of stuff. It's an investment, and it's scary, and it's exciting. It's all of that. So just literally bust your butt and keep going. You're gonna hit bumps in the road. That's the entrepreneur journey, right? I don't know if you ever seen that. Like, I've seen a T-shirt. I've seen just viral posts of like the entrepreneur roller coaster of like
Yep.
oh, this is great. I can't imagine doing anything else. And then the next minute it's like, oh my
You're
god,
down.
everything's going to hell. Like we're
Yeah,
we're over.
everything's
We're
on
done.
fire.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So just write it out, man. the strong ones survive.
I like that. Is there anything else that you might want to add or that you might want to ask that we can think of as far as covering the shoes? I feel like we've done a pretty good job of kind of laying out the
I will say
technology.
we should probably talk about the sizing. People could go a half size down, or you're saying a full size down. I have weird feet, so I would prefer my normal size.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you're interested, like I wear an 11. This is 10 and a half. It fits. It's just like my foot shape's a little goofy, so like my toe rubs. But like
Right.
I could definitely
We
wear
could trim your
these.
toes down a little bit if you want.
Fuck it. Let's go. I'll do
Right.
it. But yeah, I mean the sizing is great, the quality is great. Um, I don't really have any complaints.
No, I
Yeah.
said the look.
Yeah, I would say
I think
sizing, 90% of people going down a half size on that one works out great. It really does.
I'm
Some
the
people,
weird. I'm the
Dom's in the
weird
small
10%.
10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, there's outliers and everything, right?
You're welcome.
And in our optimizing process, we're trying to get them to be more true to size, right?
Sure.
So there's little kind of things that we can do to help adjust to make it more true to size. And we're working on that, but as they currently are, yeah, it's definitely a half size large. So yeah.
I just have weird, or maybe I don't know my shoe size. That's a lie. I have too many shoes to not know my
Oh, I
shoe
doubt
size.
that. I doubt that.
Yes.
I'm sure you know. Yeah.
We weren't going to take too much of your time. We're just going to ask a couple rapid fire questions and we'll be on our
Sure.
way.
Sure.
So the first question, as far as rapid fire questions, is
Shit, you have a
what
question.
is your favorite shoe that you offer?
Oh, I mean, right now it's that guy, right? There's a
Mangrove
labor of
Pro.
love for a long time, make them in America, by people that are craftsmen. I mean, that sucker is hand lasted. There's not a lot of people left on the planet that hand last. It's literally a guy with a hammer and nails in his teeth and going to town on it and pliers to get that sucker tight. And that's just what that high quality leather needs. So yeah, it's a labor of love. It really is. So
Yeah.
I watched a
that's
guy on
the one.
Instagram do that, but he built a pair of Air Jordan 1s out of like the
Oh,
nicest materials I've ever seen. And I was like,
yeah.
that's cool. And then I saw like what he would charge, and I
How'd you
was
see the
like, that's
price?
not that cool.
It's sweet, but the
Well,
price is
it's rough. It's something that takes 20 seconds in a machine.
Oh, it's a
And
labor of love.
I have a video on our YouTube channel. It might be on our website too, but it's like a 9 minute and 20-second video of him lasting one shoe, right? Just the left shoe,
one.
9 minutes and 20 seconds, something that usually takes 20 seconds. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a labor of love for sure.
So you talked about you almost got ran over by Bernard Langer,
Yeah,
giving him
yeah,
a
yeah.
pair of shoes.
I'm quick though. He didn't get me.
So that kind of leads to my next question.
What shoes did you give him?
The Envy, the white and
Okay.
tan.
Not that that
Yeah.
was your question, but I was
No,
curious.
yeah, no. So if you had that opportunity to do that again with any golfer, any athlete, like who would that dream or not dream athlete, but who would be that like next golfer? If you're like, if I had a chance to meet that person, do the same thing, who would it be?
Please don't say Tiger.
Yeah, no, I'm a big MMA UFC fan, right?
I'm a huge
Are
MMA
you?
fan.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done martial arts since I was a kid, right? And I just remember going to getting the VHS tapes in 1993 and watching, UFC. And
Yeah.
but
What's a VHS tape?
Oh,
Daniel,
shut.
I'm
Daniel
just
I was
kidding.
gonna say,
Cormier,
it's all there.
Daniel Cormier is in golf now, right? And he's
He is, yeah.
super big into it, and it does not look great. And so I think our shoes could help. So
That's a really good answer. I like
I'd
that.
love to
I
get
know
up there on him and see his just reaction, right? I mean,
Sure.
lifelong athlete that would feel it immediately and he'd go, "Holy cow!" Right? So that'd be a really fun one for me personally.
That's an awesome. I know him and Justin Gaethje are always kind of going back and forth. So that would be I know he's
Yeah,
out
yeah.
of out
Yeah,
of
he's got to get
Colorado.
one up on Gaethje, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very cool
Didn't he
answer.
just get knocked out?
He did.
Oh
That
my
was
God, yeah.
UFC
1
300
second
was
left.
oh
1 second left.
that was probably one of the
That was by the
greatest
dude with the wings, right?
Max Holloway. Yeah, that was
With
one
the
of the
wings.
greatest knockouts of all time.
Clearly, I don't know much unless
Yeah,
it's,
that was still
unless
impressive
it's
that
like
you were
Adesanya or
It,
Sugar Sean. I don't know much.
for Conor McGregor, probably,
Conor
right?
Oh, I
McGregor.
know
Yeah,
Connor.
yeah, he's coming back. That'll
It
be
is
it.
It was
everybody.
so
I just love the
iconic
memes.
because Max was already winning and then called him to the center of the octagon with 10 seconds left. And
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. Come on, let's do it.
It's like the guy that's already winning is saying, "Let's do that," right? And
Yeah, you don't
so,
see that.
no,
Who
no.
was
it
Connor fighting the wing guy?
No. He's
Oh.
he's fighting Michael Chandler in June 29th. So
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. That's a great answer. Don, I'm gonna let you ask this one because this is always like your good one here.
So it's hole one. You're attending our shindig in July.
Yep.
What is your walk-up song?
Oh, whoa. That's a
Didn't see that twist, did you?
no, I didn't see that one coming. Oh my gosh.
No judging
Whew.
here. You can answer with whatever genre of stuff.
Also, for people attending the shindig, we're not doing walk-up
That would
songs.
be so cool though.
Do you know how much
It would
work
be
and
tough.
planning?
Yeah, it would be tough to do that.
One person would screw it up.
Maybe like a team song though. Like a group when they come up there, they can do
Yeah.
that. That'd be a little easier.
Everybody
That'd be
could do
pretty good.
pink.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a metal fan, right? So I do love Avenged Sevenfold. So it'd be probably probably go like the stage or something like that. Something that has a cool like
Something to get you
build to it.
jacked up,
Yeah, I think
getting
so.
ready to hit at 320.
And then you just hit a
Oh,
drive with these things on.
yeah, throw my back out at the same time,
Instead of
right?
mic
You're too amped up.
instead of mic drop, you actually just unlace the shoe, just drop it on the ground and walk out.
There you go. But yeah, it'd be probably something like that. Something that has a really cool build to it, and then like when the beat drops, it's like that's when you hit. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, I don't know if this really would be much something that you'd really enjoy, but like let's just kind of going back to like if you could give this to an athlete or get somebody wearing these shoes.
Yeah.
If you could have these shoes in a specific golf club or golf course, which
Hmm.
golf course would you like to have these displayed in?
Man, another good one.
Imagine these things in Augusta where nobody can see it other than
Yeah, get them
members.
white and green
Yeah,
with a
right.
little yellow in
Where
there.
people actually see it. Yeah. You know, we're working on Silverleaf here, so part of that focus and reality. Like Silverleaf is a very nice, exclusive club here. I like to see it there. But yeah, Augusta is kind of like the
Yeah,
no
it's kind of a
brainer, right?
no-brainer,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
That would be cool. Do you plan on doing like any like theme stuff for like some companies
Yeah,
do like major
Hear
theme?
me out, hear me out, hear me, hear me out. Okay.
yeah.
White,
Yep.
white, green,
Uh-huh.
bright pink.
That would be so cool.
Right, pink. Okay.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah,
For the
azaleas.
azaleas.
Yeah.
super interesting. Oh yeah. I like that.
Because
But
we
what's
don't
cool
do
about that
green and yellow.
midsole though is that we can
Yeah,
do mixtures of colors, right? So we can do green chunks, black, white chunks, pink chunks in there. Like we can really mix it up.
that would be
That'd be
So
cool. We
that'd
just
be
don't
fun.
do green and yellow
yeah.
together.
We have this conversation because we're
You
from
can't do
Minnesota, obviously.
Packer
So we're
colors, right? You can't do
yeah,
that.
That's the
Yeah,
downside with
no.
the Masters. The Packers just doesn't hit us.
I don't own anything Masters related. And it's the
Yeah,
funniest thing.
we actually work with local artists here. And so all of our custom ones, like we have like a wave edition, a camelback, so like a flamingo one. We've done masters
Flamingo
ones.
would be sick.
And yeah, they look really, really cool. And they take forever too, right? The
Sure.
process on that, it's like you got to strip strip the color off of it and the waterproofing layers off of it, and then prime it, and then paint it, and then top coat it, and it
A
takes
long
a
process.
long, long time. Yeah.
Oh, we are well
Um,
aware.
Yeah,
but yeah, they look really, really cool. So we've done quite a few custom ones. Yeah.
very cool. Okay, so this is the last question, and it's a food related question. You can ask it however you like to, my friend.
You know, you
Mhm.
say that, but you never point out which question I'm supposed to be
No, it's just
asking.
a food question, I said. Like
Oh,
I was just saying like you can ask whatever food question you want.
oh.
Typically we end on a food question, so
So I was
Interesting.
not allowed to go to Arizona during our last shindig. So I
Oh,
wasn't,
okay.
yeah, that was the whole thing. Derek's like, no, you stay home. I was
that
like,
is not true. Don't be blaming me for
Gotta
that.
get out
That
of
is
here.
all
You
you
gotta
and
get
your
out of here.
work, not me. Don't put that
um,
on me.
if we're ever in the Mesa area,
Yeah.
where should we go out to eat?
Mm. In the Mesa, make it a little easier on me in like the Phoenix area, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like just that metro area. I hate to blow that spot up because it's already getting ridiculous. But there's a place called Glybon. Um, and it's a Thai food, but like specifically like a street food Thai spot.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's so hard to get into now. I mean, I think USA Today just did a thing on it saying
Oh,
it's like the
really?
best on the West Coast or something like that. So it's amazing.
Once
So
that happens, yeah, it's kind of like you're done.
I was totally
uh,
hoping you'd be like, go Bell.
it was already tough, right, to get in there. It's
Yeah.
like the word was getting out, but now it's like forget about it. It's ridiculous.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We really appreciate taking the time, and hopefully we can have you on again down the road when you got a couple other new releases. And
Yeah, like I said,
uh,
got three things coming out that we're really excited for. And yeah, I'd love to chat with you guys again. You know, nerd
absolutely.
out
Yeah,
on
for
more
sure.
shoes. Yeah,
Well, yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
thanks guys, appreciate
All
it.
right. Yeah. Take care. Have a good night.